Okay, so you guys have probably heard before that using a shotgun mic like the Sennheiser MKH416 for indoor dialogue is a bad idea. But why? And is it really a bad idea? Let's dive in. So yeah, if you haven't heard already, which I'm sure you probably already have, using an indoor shotgun mic is not recommended for indoor dialogue. And there's many reasons for that, but I wanted to kind of address it. And like you guys, I paid close attention to this rumor or advice because I wanted to have good video. And having good video means having good audio. And having bad audio means people are most likely going to tune you out. So, is it true? Well, my favorite mic, and the mic that I most recommend to people, is the Sennheiser MKH416. And if I could only have one mic, it would be this mic, because I find it extremely versatile for both outdoor use, which is what it's primarily designed for and it excels in, but also indoor use, with a caveat. In order to understand why shotgun mics could be troublesome, we have to talk about this very unique feature that most shotgun mics have, which is this really long tube that helps reject off-axis sound and really hone in on the person or the source that you're trying to capture. Now, this really long tube rejects a lot of interfaces and helps with RF and other things, but primarily what it's doing is it's making sure that you're picking up exactly what you're pointing at. And that's one of the reasons why shotgun mics are so loved in the film industry, especially for outdoor use, because you can pinpoint the source that you want almost precisely, almost surgically, and get great audio, even from a distance. So shotgun mics are really good at doing that. And for outdoor use, when you have a lot of wind and gust and other things, traffic and so forth, of course you still have to shield them from the elements. So you still have to use a dead cat and things like that, a blimp. And if you're interested, I made a video on that comparing an outdoor mic when you have a windy day in particular and you're using a dead cat versus a blimp, and I highly recommend a blimp, but check out that video if you're interested in outdoor audio. But basically you're getting a lot of bang for your buck for outdoor use, but that doesn't mean it can't be used indoors. It excels indoors and outdoors, but you have to do your due diligence indoors and soundproof your room. And that's where I think the caveat is, and I think that's where this rumor, and it's not really a rumor, it's more of advice or maybe a warning, originated from. So what happens when you're in a non-soundproofed area or a noisy environment where it's in particular in close quarters? You're gonna have a lot of sound bouncing off of your walls and off of sources, reflecting back into this tube, which is designed to tune out or reject some of that interference. But the problem is it ends up almost not being able to keep up. It's getting the sound source, and then there's all the sound bouncing back in, and then what you end up getting is something called phasing. And it's called phasing because it's phasing into the tube, the interference tube, and it's actually causing this really weird sound to happen in your recordings that's permanent. The problem with it is it's almost impossible to edit out or to clean up in post-production. Even the best engineer out there that knows what they're doing will struggle, to say the least, in fixing a shotgun mic's interference if it pops up. And at best, they might be able to reduce it, but it's going to be noticeable. So what exactly is phasing? Well, you're going to get this really weird sound that sounds like a phaser was turned up, and kind of like an effect, but it's only coming on in certain precise moments, and it's random. and you don't know why. So your voice could change and have this phase effect, and it goes away, and it has another phase effect, and it goes away, and it may repeat 100 times or it may repeat 5 times. You don't know, because there's random sound that's bouncing, these random vibrations that are going back into the tube, and you can't control it. Now, if you're listening with headphones, then you should always monitor your audio in a professional setting to make sure you're not getting anything weird going on. But if you're monitoring, sometimes you'll pick it up. Sometimes you don't. It's really hard to, catch these little things when you're out in the field. So basically, it's something that you may not even notice. And for YouTube, something like this, you may not even care. But if a client's paying you a couple $1,000s, maybe even $10,000 to shoot something for them, and you get phasing that randomly happened, you are in deep. And you now have to do a huge reshoot. How do you think your client's going to take it? So that's where a small condenser mic comes into play. And that's actually what you're hearing right now. This entire time, you are hearing the Audio-Technica AT4053B small condenser mic, or oftentimes they're called pencil mics or pencil condenser mics because they're literally the size of a pencil. They're much smaller. They are optimized for indoor dialogue that may not be properly sound treated. And that's the key word that I want you to really take away from this video. Not properly sound treated. If you have a room that's properly sound treated, you can use whatever you want. The Sennheiser 416 is actually really popular very recently with voiceover work. And guess what? A lot of voiceover actors that are doing this on the side, or maybe have their own home studio or home business, have a room that they soundproof. Now, the professional guys are in a studio that's also soundproofed, but the key is it's soundproofed, and they're using it indoors with no issues. So, a small condenser pencil mic, you don't really have to worry about phasing. It's not going to happen because it doesn't have this really long tube. So if you're doing client work, if you're being paid for something, every tool in the toolbox has its very specific use. A small condenser pencil microphone is perfect for that scenario. And you don't want to risk things. Even though the 416 may be your favorite, you want to grab the right tool for the toolbox. Now, I'm not saying go buy an Audio-Technica. For me, the Audio-Technica just kind of made sense. If I could afford one, I would get basically the 416's cousin, the MKH 50, which is again a small condenser pencil microphone that's designed for indoor dialogue and was famously recently used on Breaking Bad, the show Breaking Bad. That was their indoor dialogue microphone. Phenomenal microphone. It's also very expensive. It's more expensive than the 416. Again, this entire time you're listening to the Audio-Technica right now. I don't necessarily need it for this environment. This is my talking head for my camera YouTube channel. But for my other YouTube channel, the cooking channel, I have been recently shooting my videos in my kitchen. And my kitchen is not soundproofed. It's also my actual kitchen, and I don't want to soundproof it. I think my wife would kill me if I started hanging stuff up on the wall and putting up blankets and things like that. But it's also kind of dangerous to put those things up with live fire and flames and things like that. So to try to mitigate the issue and reduce the risk of phasing, which I know is highly probable with a shotgun mic like the 416 because of all the reflections in the kitchen, I needed a pencil mic or a small condenser mic, and the Audio-Technica fit the bill. So let's do a couple of demo tests. You've been hearing the Audio-Technica. Let me put the 416 on right now in this talking head environment, which should be fine. Look, granted, yes, it's soundproof. This room is soundproofed. I've worked on it. It's not the best soundproofing. It's not a studio soundproofing. Okay, and we are back right now, and what you're hearing is the Sennheiser 416. Phenomenal mic. Absolutely love this mic. It sounds fantastic. Everything about it. It makes my voice just sound really, really creamy. And mics are subjective. There's different flavors of mics out there for different people. It's like clothes. Certain clothes may look really good on a certain person or a body style or whatever, and then you could try it on and absolutely hate it. Mics are the same way. And honestly, when you get to this level, when you're paying this much money, where you're in the thousands of dollars, you're really paying for the quality, the noise levels. Really, you're paying for the precision. And a lot of folks may not be able to tell the difference, but you're hearing the Sennheiser 416 right now. Is it phasing? Shouldn't be. Maybe the Christmas tree is adding an effect. By the way, I'm shooting this right before Thanksgiving, so Christmas tree's up. If you're watching this sometime in the future and you're wondering why I have a Christmas tree, it's Christmas time, but this is the 416. Okay, and now you're hearing me in my kitchen, which again, I know has a lot of reflections, and you're hearing the Sennheiser 416. So, are you getting any phasing? Is there any phasing in my voice? Are any of the reflections bouncing off and hitting the interference tube? You might be experiencing some phasing. Again, I can't tell, so if you're not, I apologize, but it'll be a very, very pronounced phase effect in my voice, and it'll be kind of intermediate. It won't be consistent. It won't be the entire time. All right, and now you guys are hearing me through the Audio Technica, the small condenser pencil microphone, and the phasing should be non-existent. Well, to an extent. There's probably other issues going on because this is not soundproofed. But I also want you guys to focus on the audio quality. Which microphone sounded better to your ears? Because ultimately that's what is going to be what's worth it, right? Is the squeeze worth the juice? So if you really like the 416, then in this case, it would make the most sense to use the 416, but soundproof the room as much as possible. So you have to figure that out for yourself. But how does the Audio Technica sound? That's it for me, guys. I hope you found this video informative. Leave me a comment below with your opinion, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everybody.